Hello everyone, I thought I'd do one more video on the Russian moves of the first turn of Operation Uranus, so round 7 that is. What did they do? And in the previous video I showed you the reinforcements that they actually got, well, the Uranus operations that is. Over here in the south I just engaged these with basically as many units as I could. Well, that's not entirely true, but for 7 units, hoping to get rid of these in one go. Of course, they might move in a couple of more units, but they'll have to move in enough, that is the axis, to slow them down for an additional turn. Of course, the aim of these troops is to press on and at least get into Verkhneykumsky and possibly into Termosin, so that they will really delay the Operation Winter Storm units when they come, so they'll have to battle right away on the first turn, and very importantly that they won't be able to use road movement, because road movement will take them, well, let's take Termosin. You placed Operation Uranus units here. Let's say that they're not locked in combat and their path isn't interrupted, then you can move 1, 2, 3, 4 in a single move. You'll be in Potomnik, so that way it's relatively easy to reinforce the units there and possibly to re-establish supply with the city of Stalingrad itself, if it should be unsupplied, of course, by that time, but that's pretty likely, I suppose, in this scenario. The other units engaged these Axis units here, of course, with the aim of destroying them and right away moving into Potomnik. There's an attack going on here as well, and I'm trying to take on these units too, so that they won't be able to reinforce either this area or retreat into Potomnik, where they will benefit from the fortified area. So basically hitting on a +1, so I want to prevent that. And I also moved in 2 fighters here. Maybe I should have moved them in here. That would have been another option. Over here I moved in the units from Kremenskaya and a tank, I believe, from Ilovinska, perhaps from Kotluban, but a tank as well. Over here I moved in the maximum number of units, and the attacks here are a bit weaker, but I'm hoping to break through in the center here. Over on the city board, this unit landed, but of course it landed into a contested area, so it cannot move beyond it. The artillery was placed onto the ferry, so that hopefully it'll be able to land on the next Russian turn. From the chemical factory, I engaged the train station and Mamayev Kurgan, not so much as to actually conquer those areas, which will be difficult. Certainly Mamayev Kurgan, because it's a fortified area and both those units will hit on a 3, but I'm hoping to lock them in combat so that they won't be able to engage the chemical factory. Maybe I should have just stayed put, because a force of 6 infantry is pretty difficult to dislodge. But those are basically the 2 options you have. And the previous time I played this scenario, I let them stay in place, which worked pretty well. But let's see how this works out then. And over here I did decide to leave them in place, because the Germans will be able to move in from 3 different areas, and I didn't want to make that too easy for them with 6 infantry. Which would be quite an even fight, considering that there's 4 Russian infantry and an artillery. Yeah, with some air force on the part of the Germans potentially being added to the mix, I thought it more prudent and safer to leave them in place. You can see that the Russians are actually trying to supply drop a number of supplies into the Red October steelworks, into the chemical factory, and into Spartanovka. So yeah, we'll see how that turns out during the Russian attack phase. Thank you for watching, and see you on the next one.